Chapter 20. 'Twas very hard to sit next to someone who'd had his DD or pants making. You come harder than you had in a long time, and just pretend like everything was normal. But thanks to the final Beltane planning meeting, that was exactly what Daisy was being forced to do. She had been trying to be cool since the Great Orgasm Incident, which was what she was calling it in her head, but for the past 48 hours, she hadn't stopped thinking about it, about how good it had been. About how sexy Elliot was, how competent and confident he was, about whether or not it could happen again, or if it should happen again, about Elliot saying he was afraid of falling in love with her, about how she was becoming more and more afraid of that herself. The Great Orgasm Incident had unlocked a lot of shit for her, and now she had to sit here at this town meeting and pretend to care about whether the food trucks would set up outside of the town hall or on Main Street, and she did not care. "Well, we care, Daisy." Nancy, head of the Beltane committee, said, eyeing her over her meeting notes. Oops, apparently she'd said that out loud. Right, sorry. I think we're all agreed that the food trucks should line up along Main Street, Nancy said, moving on. That clears up space for the stage in front of the town hall. What's the stage for? Elliot leaned over, whispering in her ear. Daisy suppressed a full-body shiver at his nearness. The crowning of the May Queen. What does that entail? He asked. But Daisy didn't have time to explain before Tammy and Marissa, the other members of the Beltane committee, were chiming in with tasks left to be completed. As you all know, folks have been casting their ballots all week for this year's queen, and we are looking for help tallying the votes, Tammy started. Annie nudged Daisy from her other side. I've got my money on Andy, she whispered. Do you want in on the pool? We don't even know who the finalists are yet. Annie looked at her like she was being ridiculous. Yeah, you're right, Daisy conceded. Andy is a shoo-in. I'll put my money on him. Annie grinned. Bennett turned around from his seat in front of them. You're betting on the wrong horse, ladies. This girl right here is going to win. Kira rolled her eyes. Please don't refer to me as a horse. Sorry, babe. But you are totally going to win. Kira just shook her head with a laugh. I never should have let you nominate me. Did you vote, Elliot? Bennett asked. Yeah, of course. For Kira, right? Elliot's gaze flicked from Bennett's to Daisy, but she couldn't save him from Bennett's Kira for May Queen campaign. He'd been going on about it all month. He even made posters and buttons. She just shrugged. Well, I voted for Gladys, actually, Elliot confessed. Bennett groaned so loud that Nancy cleared her throat and glared at him. Sorry, he mouthed and gave Daisy and Elliot an apologetic smile before turning around. I liked the changes to the pancake house. Seemed like a good reason to vote for the owner. What should I have been looking for in a May Queen? He whispered, sounding suddenly concerned, like his vote for May Queen could have actual consequences. Daisy patted his knee. I wouldn't worry about it. The May Queen doesn't exactly have a lot of political sway. It's more of a figurehead position. He huffed a laugh. We also need a volunteer to add up the money we took in from the sale of the voting ballots, Marissa added. And what exactly does the Beltane committee do? Daisy asked, eliciting a laugh from Annie and a glare from Tammy. We've been planning the logistics for months, Marissa said, not deterred by Daisy's comment. Daisy was being unnecessarily rude, she knew that. She normally saved her town meeting arguments for important things, like the fight to put a cap on town bake sales, an insane idea, or the petition to move the farmers' market inside of the town hall for the winter. Very smart and something she argued in favor of for months. Hassling the Beltane committee about their work wasn't exactly a hot-button issue for her, but Elliot's leg was pressed against hers, and his steady presence was making her feel ... like she may burst. And you've done a wonderful job. Mayor Kelly stepped back up to the podium. Anything else we haven't covered? Nancy looked back at her notes. Let's see ... The fire department is going to handle the raising of the maypole. Miss Janet's Little Tots dance class have been rehearsing the maypole dance for months, since Christmas. Janet called from her seat in the crowd. And they've really got it down. They rarely get tangled in each other's ribbons anymore. Nancy looked at her skeptically. Let's try to make sure they don't get tangled at all, of course. But even Janet looked skeptical now. Daisy didn't envy her the job of getting 25-year-olds to weave in and out and back and forth around a giant pole, holding a 40-foot-long ribbon and somehow not crash into each other. Cliff's Midnight Dreamers are set to perform. Noah hooted from the back and Daisy caught sight of Cliff shaking his head with a begrudging smile. And Logan and Bennett have offered to keep our bonfire going all night. Ben sure keeps me going all night, Kira said to plenty of whistles and laughs from the crowd. Nancy just pursed her lips like she was still dealing with kindergartners and continued down her list. Daisy, how are the flower crowns coming? Nearly done. She and Iris had worked their fingers to the bone to get them finished in time. Daisy braced herself for someone to argue about her providing the flowers again, but no one did. Elliot gave her knee a squeeze. Daisy didn't dare look at him. If he was smiling at her with that damn blush on his cheeks, she might implode. Great. Nancy tucked away her list into her back pocket. Then I think we are all set to welcome summer. Everyone knows it's only the 1st of May and still far too cold out to be summer, right? Kira whispered. Annie leaned forward. It's an ancient tradition, babe. Plus it's fun. Just go with it. You can hang out by the fire with me, Bennett said, slinging his arm around Kira's shoulders, and she immediately leaned into him. Daisy sat up straighter to avoid pressing her arm against Elliot's even as he leaned to whisper in her ear again. I'm excited to go with you, he said, his words tickling her skin. Sounds like a fun night. A fun night. A fun night of simultaneously wanting to let Elliot do magic with his hands again and wanting to run far away from this thing that was definitely going to break her heart. A fun night for sure. 5 days later, on the morning of the Beltane festival, Daisy had decided to get back on track with this fake relationship. Fake being the key word. Yes, the orgasm incident had been fun, but Daisy had a heart to protect and business to save. She didn't have time for fooling around. With that decided, she was spending the morning loading up Logan's truck with her table and tent and several hundred flower crowns. She was heading back out to the truck with a cooler filled with crowns, when she nearly ran straight into her grandmother. Hey, Grandma. What are you doing here? She asked, handing the cooler off to Logan. I have something for you. Her grandmother had a cardboard box in her arms. She walked into the shop with Daisy right behind her. She unceremoniously dropped the box onto the counter, brushing the dust off her hands. What is it? Some things I thought you might be interested in since you keep asking about dead relatives all the time. Grandma, it was like twice. Still thought you might want them. Daisy peered into the box. It was filled with old notebooks and photos and shop ledgers, the pages yellowed and worn. Wow, this is actually amazing. Grandma June shrugged like she wasn't interested in looking at the past and couldn't quite understand why. Daisy wanted to. Thope, it's useful. Where did you find all of this? Daisy asked, riffling through the pictures. Some were newer, glossy and in color. She found a few of herself as a baby, her parents on their wedding day. Others were old and brittle and in black and white, with names and dates scrawled on the backs. Arthur 1943, Emily 1956, John and Liddy 1933. Decades passed through her fingertips. Remember when we had the shop renovated a few years back? Daisy looked up from her digging. When I was 5, Grandma chuckled. I guess it was more than a few years. I had to clean out the back apartment, and I found a bunch of my parents' old things. Some of it felt worth keeping, or I just felt guilty throwing it all away. I've added to it over the years. Anyway, I'm sure my father's sister Daisy, whom you're so interested in, makes an appearance in some of those old photos. Daisy gave her grandmother a big hug. Thank you. I'm sure it will be useful. Grandma June patted her back. You're an odd duck, Daisy girl. But I love you too. Can't wait until I have time to go through all this. Great Aunt Daisy was never far from her mind as she worked in the shop, probably standing in the exact spot her aunt had. Did her aunt like working in the shop? Did she take pleasure in arranging flowers into something new and beautiful like Daisy did? Did she like going home smelling like roses and lavender? What did that Daisy think about as the sun moved throughout the day, throwing different colors through the stained glass and onto the wood floor? What did she want with her life? So, are you all set for the festival today? Grandma asked, looking around the shop at the mess of supplies that still needed to be loaded into the truck. Yep. And Elliot will be escorting you? Escorting me? What year is it, Grandma? Daisy asked with a laugh. Don't be fresh. Sorry, yes, he will. Her grandma nodded in approval. I think seeing you two together at Beltane will do some major damage control for your image. I overheard several people at the diner this morning comment on how happy and in love you two. SEEM, happy and in love. If I wasn't afraid of falling in love with you. The whole town thinks that boy is in love with you. No. Nope. Love was not happening. Hadn't she just decided that? She and Elliot were just really good actors. Actors who were physically attracted to each other. That was it. That was all she would allow. Was it warm in here? Daisy started pulling off her sweater, yanking it over her head and leaving her hair a staticky mess in its wake. When she emerged, her grandmother looked alarmed. Are you okay, dear? Fine. Why, you look terrified. Daisy scoffed. Terrified. Terrified. Terrified of falling in love again. With the wrong person again. Getting her feelings destroyed and her heart broken again. No, not her. Of course not. Why would she be? I'm fine. Totally fine. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to finish loading these things into the truck so I can go set up our booth and make lots and lots of money. She tried and failed to smooth her hair down. Grandma June gave her a worried smile. Okay, but you know where to find me if you need me. Thanks, Grandma. Grandma patted the old cardboard box. And don't spend too much time in the past, Daisy. Sometimes you need to focus on moving forward. Moving forward. Right. Easier said than done. When Daisy emerged from the shop again with her next armload of supplies, Jeannie was out front on Main Street as well, giving Logan instructions for his return trip. Team going to need at least 2 folding tables, tablecloths, cups, napkins, at least 3 of the coffee carafes. She listed things off on her fingers. Logan nodded after each item. We can fit it all. He patted the side of the truck. Let me get Daisy's stuff dropped off and I come down to the cafe. Jeannie planted a kiss on his cheek. Perfect, she smiled. At Daisy, excited about today? Excited to sell a lot of flower crowns, Jeannie laughed. I'm sure you will. Daisy sure hoped so. She needed these sales for next month's rent. You want to come down for a cup of coffee? Hazel's meeting me. Jeannie gestured down the street. It was still quiet. The festivities didn't start until late afternoon, but the food trucks were already rolling in. No thanks. I should get over to the town square and set up. Okay, see you later. Jeannie waved and headed back to the cafe. Daisy locked up the shop and hopped into the passenger side of Logan's truck. He closed the truck bed and climbed in beside her. It would be a short drive, but it was much easier than trying to haul all this stuff in multiple trips in her car. Thanks for the ride. No problem. Daisy knew Logan wasn't much for small talk, so she was surprised when he cleared his throat and said, I really respect what you're doing, coming back to town and not letting everyone rattle you with this curse bullshit. Is that how I'm coming across? As not rattled, Daisy gave a disbelieving laugh. Logan chuckled. Just hang in there. They'll move on to something else soon enough. Thanks, that means a lot. He pulled into the parking lot near the town hall. Everyone was setting up in the area surrounding the fountain. He nodded. Apparently that was the end of the conversation. Right. Well, thanks again, Daisy said, hopping down from the truck. Logan helped her unload and then headed back to pick up the supplies for Jeannie's cafe booth. All around her, other vendors were setting up, getting ready for the hustle and bustle of the crowds later today. Daisy spotted George hanging the gingerbread bakery sign over at Annie's table. Bennett and Mac were dumping out a load of firewood in the grassy area beyond the square for the night's bonfires, and Kira was helping the committee decorate the stage. Daisy set up her tables and her tent to protect her from the sun. She covered the tables in dark purple tablecloths and hung the homemade sign she had made with Iris. The Daisychain flower shop, it proudly read. Iris had added vines and flowers around the letters, and at her mother's insistence, Daisy had been liberal with the glitter. It looked good. She was going to do this. She was going to save this damn shop and make her ancestors proud. For now she kept the crowns in her coolers to keep them from wilting. Her mother would be by soon to help her lay them out. Kira may have been worried about the lack of warmth in May in New England, but it was shaping up to be a beautifully sunny day. A day filled with possibilities. Maybe Daisy was excited about more than selling crowns. Maybe she was excited to celebrate a new season. Maybe she was ready for one.